How are you? How we doing? Peapods? I'm sat here having a puff on a Sunday morning. Puff on a Sunday morning, puff on a night time. What's the skinny? Anybody watching them? Everybody been watching the petition? It's just extraordinary. This is like, guilty pleasure all day. Sit down and watch the numbers tick over. When I started doing this video, it had just reached 350,000, which is quite extraordinary. So think on this, okay? In any given fight, whatever you want to call the fight, 80% of people don't matter. There's 10% one side and 10% on the other. Okay? So that's worth thinking about. And they're the ones that make a difference. They're the ones that make a difference when it's all about making noise. And I've seen people saying, they'll never call an election. This is a stupid idea. How childish. It's not about calling an election. And people just find that hard to understand. But it's not. It's an indicator. And it's not just an indicator. I've got people messaging me going, why do people want a general election? And I'm like, where you been? Right? Because he's in bed with BlackRock. Because they think that men can be women. Because they see racism and everything. Because they see power and oppression and everything. This is the answer to the question that I give them. But yet they still keep asking. Right? So it's not. This has got nothing to do with Parliament, nothing to do with Keir Starmer. There's no way on God's earth they're going to debate this. And there's no way on God's earth they're going to give us an election until the people take to the streets. And that probably isn't going to happen. Right? That's the truth. But my God, it's an indicator. Look at the map on the link I'll put the petition downstairs, but look at the map. Have a look at the map. London's like this glowing beacon of nonsense. It shows unbelievably how the capital is out of touch with the rest of the country, even if you just take it as a survey, right? Because people can go, oh, I'm not signing it. I'll sign it. I'm not signing it. I don't want a general election. I think Labour are doing a fantastic job and we'll get a second term, as my friend said to me the other night. Just like, what planet are you on? He may be right. They maybe get a second term. Doesn't make what they're doing any good. Because 80% of the people don't matter. Right? Okay? So, in other words, what we've got here is an information and a knowledge war. Because they want to control what I would call the ontological playing ground, which is the playing ground of knowledge production, i.e. where the people take on board what it is that the government wants them to take on board. And some of us will have a different idea of what that should be. So then you look and you see that the Lechley charity has been utterly destroyed by gender ideology. You see that the police are still allowing these gusset-fumbling fraudsters, these men, the ability to search women in custody, and then the most vulnerable women in the country in our prisons, are being dealt with by these men. Why are these men there? There's plenty of women that can do that. Why are the men there? Why do they want permission to do it? It's actually insane when you start to think about it. But what does that tell us? This petition that we're watching going tick 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 with another, 10 added every 5 minutes or whatever it is. I wonder whether it'll lose momentum and then suddenly drop off at about 380,000, or is it going to go on and go faster than any petition that's ever been before? Because I'd like to know whether it is faster than any petition that's ever been before. It is just joyous watching it clock up. And it's hard sometimes for us to remember that you don't know, and I don't know, what that one piece of the Jenga tower is. So Posey Parker normally goes down to, have a bit of fun by the tree in London. Can't go today because of the weather. I saw that. Posey's cancelled it, by the way, in case you didn't know. Just so you know. Or I sit here and pontificate about rubbish. Right, you don't know. Or somebody hears Douglas Murray talking, or the Women's Rights Network writes the right letter. Yep. Or Legal Feminist hits the right button. Yes. Or Sex Matters takes the right case. None of us have any idea. And all that matters is that we keep pushing and we meet critical mass. That's what we do. We keep pushing because we've no idea what that one piece of the Jenga tower is. And that is how I deal with what happens sometimes amongst the good folk who are fighting against this, which is I don't agree with everything X says, and Y doesn't agree with everything X says, and off we go. And then you've got women going after women and men going after men, and and gay people shouting at gay people, and people from the left shouting at people from the right. And I think, yeah, but we're still doing it. And that's the nature of a collaboration. A collaboration is fractious. A collaboration forms and storms all the time into different little groups that are doing things, get this done, then you bugger off because you're pissed off with them and go and talk to somebody else. And this is absolutely normal. Absolutely normal for that to happen because we are a collaborative. And we are behind the collective because we've come together because of it. That's why we have to reach critical mass, at which point the collective becomes seen as the minority and they become demonized, if you will, as the minority that want to do something that everybody else thinks is absolutely insane, like tell kindergartners about gender identity ideology and primary school kids about gender identity ideology. They may be two in this one and the same thing. I don't know anything about this. I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue, right? So the collaborative and the collective, there we are. See, there we are. But I can tell you that from my perspective, and the warrior teachers and I have this conversation quite regularly when I'm teaching and when we're meeting, which is, it's all part of what we do. And there's lots of them are doing incredible work out there, really taking things on. It's wonderful to see. But I think it's worth mentioning that we have to recognize what is at the root of this. And I think that's very important because if we don't recognize what's at the root of this, and it doesn't matter what you call it, right? It's the same phenomena. And what I think that exists wholly at the root of this, and I could be wrong, which wouldn't be new, is utopianism. That's what's driving everything, is the concept that these people can reach some kind of utopia in which there is no difference between the genders, that sexuality is a fluid thing that everybody can participate in. That's what they're after. They think they've got utopia. And at that point, I have to remember Hanlon's razor, which is don't put down to wickedness that which you can ascribe to stupidity, so that I don't start holding these people in utter disdain and I can still remain non-emotionalized about how I look at it and how I consider it. But if you think about what it is that's causing this and what it is that's making this such a problem, it's a confluence of things. It's not one single thing, other than I can isolate it down to a utopian idea and the idea that we could ever reach it. That we could ever reach it. Because if you try to reach a utopian idea, what you end up with is a dystopia. Look at China under Mao. Look at Germany under Hitler. Look at Pol Pot. Look at, every single nutter from the 20th century who pushed for this utopian idea of equity, the flatlining of everything in order to make the human experience equal. It's a terrifying thought, but yet people hold on to this like it's gold, and they rub it and they sit with it, and it's covetousness of this utopian idea. And the main tool of the utopian idea is intersectionality, as we've come to know it. It was always there, it's just been called something now, where people are ranked according to whatever they decide that rank order is. Intersectionality is at the root of it, along with utopia, which is odd, because I'm saying treat everybody the same, which is equitable, really, because we're all the same. We're human, we're here. But after that, everything becomes about meritocracy, intelligence, talent, yes, and excellence. That's where we're at. So utopianism and intersectionality. Let's talk about that, because those are the two things that are driving all the horrors we see currently. All of them. All of them. Because these people believe they're going to reach some kind of utopia, when we know, because of historic information, that what they're actually clamoring for is going to be a dystopia. Isn't it? And then people, well, there must be a middle way. There is a middle way. It's called reality, which does not rely on a deeply dystopian view of the world and does not rely on a deeply utopian idea of the world. This is why we have the words realpolitik, because nobody wants to talk about the realpolitik, because it's a horrible thing. But that's where we're at, I think. I could be wrong. So the other thing is, it's all sort of nasty at the moment. It all seems nasty. Don't get disheartened, all right? Don't get disheartened. We can't get disheartened, because this isn't just a fight about what we think. This is a fight for the future generation, for the children that come, that need a world based in reality, that is not based around fetishism and lunacy, that is not based around mad ideas, That's what we need. And you're the bulwark against that. It doesn't matter who you are. And I know it can get depressing when sometimes you look at the other people that you see as allies and they're behaving like twats. So what? Take what you need and move on. Because as the warrior teachers know, and as I always say, the only way to do this is one person at a time. And that's how we'll do it. That's how we'll do it. So if you are feeling despondent, don't. Don't. Because we don't know which piece of the Jenga tower it's going to take. And you go back a few years and we couldn't even discuss it. We'll get there. Don't give up. Keep going. All right? I know that the warrior teachers and I are going to. And I hope that you will too. You have a great Sunday. See you later. Bye-bye.